Welcome back to the deep dive. You sent over a really fascinating stack of material this time, all focused on something that I think gets overlooked.
Yeah, what happens after the wedding?
Exactly. What's the actual roadmap for a marriage after the honeymoon phase is over? So today, we are digging into excerpts from What Next After You Say I Do by Temidayo Adewole.
And it's so refreshing because it just immediately shifts the focus. It's not about the party, it's about the purpose of the partnership itself.
Right.
The material is very, very clear. Getting married isn't the finish line, it's more like the formal start of a shared life's work.
And the core argument is so structural. It draws this direct, unavoidable link. It says a couple's shared vision determines your mission.
It's that simple.
Whatever future you and your spouse can actually see and agree on, that vision, that's what the author says will preoccupy your time. It sets the whole agenda.
That's the entire thesis. And they jump right in. You know, they challenge the couple with this diagnostic question.
Find the vision.
To find it immediately, yeah. It asks, what can you see in all that has happened since you got married? And the author suggests that whatever your answer is,
Progress, stagnation, whatever.
that is your vision, whether you planned it that way or not.
Okay, so let's unpack that idea of vision, because the source gives it a lot of weight. It's not just a nice dream or, a bucket list.
No, not at all.
It's defined as an active foresight, a perception of the future so clear that it basically forces you to act in the present.
Yeah.
If you can't see it, you can't build it.
Absolutely. And the consequence of not having that shared sight, it's immediate. And it's pretty severe in this framework.
This is where it gets really dramatic. The author grounds this failure in Scripture, quoting Proverbs 29.18.
And that quote is, well, it's powerful.
It's a serious gut punch. It says, somebody will suffer for a vision that you did not see today. I mean, that's a heavy way to frame the need for planning.
It really is. The author is basically saying that a lack of shared purpose isn't harmless. It's not just that you miss out on something.
No, it's that someone else pays the price.
Exactly. A future generation, maybe even your own future self, will suffer because of that unfulfilled potential. It makes vision casting a kind of moral necessity to avoid future pain.
So this isn't just about setting financial goals, though that could be part of it. It's about avoiding a kind of, a legacy of drift.
That's a great way to put it, and that's why the author immediately gives a framework to make this vision concrete.
Right, to force the intentionality.
Exactly. The source lays out a very clear, structured template. It tells the couple their vision needs to be defined by 2 separate lists, 14 key aims in total.
You have 7 specific points that are listed for God, and 7 specific points listed for yourself.
And this dual structure, I think this is maybe the most insightful part of the vision section. It tells you right away that your purpose has to be balanced.
How so?
Well, the first list, for God, that ensures a vertical alignment. What is the spiritual aim or the service of your partnership?
Yeah.
And the second list, for yourself, that's your horizontal alignment. The tangible, practical goals for growth, legacy, stability, all of that.
So if a couple only focuses on the for yourself list, the house, the careers, the travel, they might get material success, but miss that deeper unifying purpose.
Right. And on the flip side, if they only focus on the 7 points for God, they could risk neglecting the practical foundation they need to even sustain their family or their mission.
It creates a mandate for a holistic purpose. You have to define both the internal health and the external impact of your marriage.
And being forced to list 7 distinct items for each, not just one vague idea, that demands some serious discussion from the couple.
It makes the abstract idea of vision really actionable. Okay, so vision is what we see, the destination, and mission has to be the how and the where.
That's the pivot.
How does the author get us from seeing to doing?
The transition is grounded theologically. The material connects the entire concept of marital purpose directly to the biblical mandate, the Great Commission.
So a couple's mission is just a smaller version of that bigger mandate.
A micro-extension of that macro mandate, exactly. And the source uses that as a structural blueprint, highlighting movement and instruction. It all centers on that core command to
go ye therefore and teach all nations.
Focusing on that verb, go. If the mission starts with go, it inherently demands movement. It demands a strategy.
You can't stay put.
You can't. And then the author challenges you to internalize this by posing 3 really critical fill-in-the-blank questions based on that framework.
Right, and these force you to define your role. The source says the Great Commissioner is known, so that's the one giving the mandate.
But then it asks the couple to define the great mission and the great missionary. And what's powerful is the silence. The author leaves those blank, implying the couple has to fill them in based on their own specific vision.
So the synthesis is really tight here.
Yeah.
You can't start moving until you know what you're looking at. Every mission must go with a vision. If you don't know the destination, the vision, you can't possibly define the route, which is the mission.
And that brings us to preparation. I mean, if the couple is supposed to become this great missionary unit, they need the skills for it. What does the material say a person with vision even looks like?
The source defines a visionary as someone able to think about or plan the future with imagination or wisdom. And we should
That-
probably stop on that for a second.
Yeah, that's a key fusion.
It's not just dreaming, which is imagination. It's also strategic planning, which is wisdom.
Exactly. And the practical skills are all listed out. A visionary has to be creative, farsighted, imaginative, inventive, inspired. But the one that really stands out is the ability to see what others could not see.
And to make that relatable for anyone listening, being a visionary couple could mean seeing a gap in your industry that no one else has noticed.
Or seeing a need for a community service that just doesn't exist yet in your town.
Right, or even seeing a path to financial freedom that kind of defies conventional wisdom. It's that strategic perception combined with conviction.
And this isn't just theory. To make it urgent, the source poses a question that speaks directly to any experience of mandatory downtime, like a lockdown or a big life transition.
The lockdown question, it asks, have you seen something to go and do after the lockdown is over?
That phrase instantly makes preparation mandatory.
Yeah.
If you treat a period of stasis, a job loss, a global shutdown, maternity leave, if you just treat that as waiting time, you miss the chance to prepare for the go.
So downtime becomes incubation time.
That's it. The closing instruction for this whole section is a clear command. This is the time to prepare for whatever we will do for God. The mission starts in the preparation, not in the action.
That's a great point. The vision is developed in the quiet, but the mission requires you to get up and move. Which brings us to this concept that ties it all together, the G-Lo dynamic.
This is where the synthesis of action and divine presence really hits home. The source sets up this incredibly simple but powerful breakdown. If there is a Joel, there will always be a low. No go, no low.
And if we connect that back to the Great Commission text, and lo, I am with you always, it implies that the promised presence, the divine support, the lo, is conditional on the action, the go.
Precisely. And if you look at that from a non-theological angle, it's just a universal principle of achievement. Think about a startup.
Go.
If you don't go and build the prototype, that's the action. You don't get the low of investment and customer validation. The reward follows the risk.
So the source is saying you don't wait for permission or some cosmic sign. You act on the vision you have, and the support follows the effort.
You have to overcome the inertia. The whole structure of mission, historically and theologically, is tied to being sent, to movement.
Yeah.
You can't fulfill your purpose by staying static.
And to prove that point, the source gives that rapid-fire list of historical missions.
And what's key about that list isn't just who they were, but that they all had one thing in common.
They were all sent. They all followed a goal.
Right. You see missions of proximity, like God going to the Garden of Eden, leadership missions, Moses being sent back to Egypt, uncomfortable missions, like Jonah being sent to Nineveh.
The pattern is really clear. Jesus was sent from heaven. Peter was sent to Cornelius' house. Philip to Samaria. Paul to the Gentiles.
Every single foundational figure in this framework was defined by their movement.
And the conclusion is pretty inescapable. All the disciples were sent on missions, which positions the married couple as the next in this long line of missionaries.
And that brings everything right back to you, the listener, and your spouse. It all culminates in that final, very personal question that synthesizes everything. Where will you and your spouse go for God?
That question is the ultimate action step. It forces you to take that internal framework, the 7 points for God and 7 for yourself, and translate them into a concrete external mission field, whether that's geographic, professional, or social.
So, to wrap this deep dive up, the author's structure demands that defining your purpose is the first and most critical job after the wedding. Vision is the strategic plan that prevents future suffering.
And mission is the required movement, the GGO.
Which, according to this material, unlocks the promised divine support, the LO. The focus isn't on waiting for life to happen to you, but on creating an active shared purpose as a unified team.
Exactly. If you connect this to the bigger picture, this deep dive shows how a very specific theological framework can provide a really robust and universal model for partnership success. It argues that aligned purpose is the key.
And that requires both vertical, so spiritual, and horizontal, practical goals. It demands intentionality every single day.
And that leads to a great final thought for you to consider, based on those blanks in the mission structure we talked about earlier.
Right, we noted that the Great Commissioner is known.
But the Great Mission and the Great Missionary were left open for the couple to define for themselves.
And the author has stressed that preparation is everything. So here's the question. Based on this text, is the ultimate great mission just defined by the place you go? Or is the truest test of being a great missionary actually defined by the rigor you apply to the act of preparation itself?
So take those two lists, the 7 points for God and 7 for yourself, and ask yourselves, have we prepared with the wisdom and imagination needed to fill those blanks with real, actionable, maybe even world-changing goals?
Because that intentional planning, that's where your shared mission truly begins.